everyone, this is Lean and welcome back to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. Today I'm creating a Happy Meal card. I am using a new set, I'm using an older set because next week there is this new incredible release that you will all love. And just before we are going to celebrate with you, I decided to, grab some of my older products if I could and combine that with a newer release product just to give you some inspiration with what you might already have a really long time and what you recently purchased. Now today, from the new products that were released during the April release, I am using the Always in My Heart stem set. I said it previously already in a card video that I created and shared here, but these sentiments, I mean, is there a more gorgeous script than that? I don't know. So I really wanted to feature one of these gorgeous sentiments, as this script is really blowing my mind every time that I look at these stem sets. Now for the older releases, one of my first products that I got from Crafty Meraki was the You Are My Sunshine Slimline die. Now later on, Crafty Meraki came with mini slimlines, and I must admit, in the beginning I was skeptical. I thought, oh no, now there is another size where I need some new card bases for, etc. So I wasn't really happy with the idea of creating mini slimlines. I was convinced about the slimlines. Now I must admit there, I was wrong. And I actually got into the mini slimlines because of Crafty Meraki, because of their gorgeous mini slimline dies. And this is the You Are My Sunshine mini slimline, one of my favorites as well. It is just gorgeous. Now I know sunshine, you might think, well, let's do that with yellows. But I thought, let's try something different and use some blues. So it's no longer sunshine, that's clear. But I wanted to use something blue because I wanted to have a pop of red, and nothing goes better with red than blue. So therefore I created this blue You Are My Sunshine mini die cut, mini slimline die cut. Now, normally I would use distress inks for this, but you can also do that with Copic markers or with other markers or pencils even. I think that is a lot of work, but you can use several mediums to do so. Now just to show you, I wasn't convinced completely about one of my transitions, so I took my distress inks. And then I thought, well, maybe I can just show you what I would have used as distress inks to do this background completely with distress inks. So those 4 colors I would really recommend using for the same background, but if you want to use inks. I just needed a bit more of a touch-up on my gradient, and then I decided, well, why don't I use one of the darkest blues to also emphasize that center part of my sunshine. Now for the hearts, as I mentioned, I wanted a pop of red, and therefore I'm using some hearts. It goes really well with the sentiment we will use later on. I'm also going to use my Copics here. If you want to, you can ink blend some reds on top of it, but I went with Copics. All the same combination, all the same kind of gradient, as well as the side where the shadow is. Really simple. These hearts are from the Love Speech Bubbles, from my favorite things, and you can also get them at Crafty Meraki. So I'm just ink blending my way. I die cut the speech bubbles twice. The speech bubbles themselves I just kept on the back of my set, and then these hearts, I didn't know yet how many hearts I needed, so I just went for all of them, and then later on I actually didn't need all of them, but at least I had enough hearts. So that being done as well, I'm just keeping them on the side for now, and then we can start on white heat embossing the sentiment on our panel. As I said, the sentiment I'm using today is from the Always in My Heart gorgeous stem set. Gorgeous, with a lovely wreath in it with some birds. I created a card by only using the birds. previously. If you haven't seen that video, definitely check that out, as well as some of the other design team members created incredible cards with them or with this stem set. So let yourself be inspired by everyone around you, by all the creations on Instagram. And if you create, don't forget to add the Crafty Meraki hashtag so that we can find your project as well and be amazed by what you all create. Now I use my Versamark clear embossing ink to stamp out this sentiment, and then I use my white embossing powder from Ranger. This is a super fine detail. And then I just heat set everything. I melted it, and once it just cooled down a little bit, I could buff off the excess anti-static powder with a paper towel. And then I have all my elements ready to start building this card. Now, something that I forgot doing ahead of time was to maybe add some double-sided adhesive sheets on my paper before die cutting this sunshine out of the paper that I used to add the color on. That would have been really handy to just peel off the backing of that double-sided adhesive paper. But I didn't add that before die cutting, so I just had to go over the complete back with my liquid glue. It also works, of course, but there are ways to, well, to just make it a bit easier. So now let's figure out the placement of the hearts and which size I will use where. It took me a bit, but in the end I ended up using 5 hearts. And once I was happy with placement, I also decided to fiddle a bit and add every heart with a bit of thin foam squares. Now these squares of course are a bit too wide to just add in the back of the heart, so I had to cut these squares a bit apart. It's always handy if you do that when they are still on the paper of these squares. This way you can easily grab them. Well, it's a bit finicky with my fingers being so thick compared to those tiny squares that I needed from time to time. But I just made sure to add enough in the back, take my time with that, and then I could place all of them on my card. So here the same, I just made sure to have several sizes of these thin foam squares so that I could completely fill the backs of the hearts. There are of course other options as well. You can also add paper to some craft foam and then only die cut. This way the craft foam will also be the dimension that you wanted to have, and you just need a bit of liquid glue on the back. There are many ways again to make it maybe a bit more simple to adhere if you want to create a bit of dimension, or you can die cut the hearts multiple times and just layer one on top of the other. It would be less finicky. But you do you, whatever you like doing or feel that works the best, you just do that. Now next up, to really finish this card, because it's a really simple card and you can leave it like that, but I decided to add a bit of Stickles Stardust on the darkest area of the hearts and then fill up the rest of that heart with some glossy accents. This way those hearts will really pop on top of this card as well. As I said, it's a clean and simple one. From time to time a bit of glitter, it can never hurt, of course. So I'm just spreading all of the glossy accents with my craft knife, and then this card is completely finished. Using an older and a newer set, but don't forget next week, new release, so much inspiration coming your way, and I am sure that you will love all of these new products as well. Thank you so much for stopping by and taking the time to watch this video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. We appreciate you stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel, and we are back soon with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!